The universe communicates with us in many different ways, and it's different for every individual. So what's important is to understand how you're receiving messages and how to pay attention to them and how to interpret them. So I'm going to give a personal example because obviously I understand my own perspective the greatest, but other people might experience things differently. So this doesn't necessarily apply to everybody. It's just my personal way of understanding how the universe is communicating with me. So first of all, metaphor is very important to me. So I could see something and feel that there is a message in it for me. So for example, I could be walking along and notice a flower in somebody's garden, and I might feel like, oh, there's a message in this flower for me. So I could look at that flower and break it down. So I might think, okay, the flower's made up of multiple parts. It's got a stem, it's got petals, it's got a bud. It starts off as a bud. And then I would kind of think that through, just let my imagination go wild and think, okay, what is the message in this for me? So what comes to mind to me right now, I'm visualizing a flower, is that the flower is made up of many parts, and that as individuals, we also have many parts. So for example, when I go to work, the language that I use at work might be different from the language that I use when I'm speaking to a friend, or the things that I talk about at work are different from when I'm having a chat with a friend. But although, people talk about imposter syndrome sometimes, which is sort of a feeling that you're putting on an act, or that you're not actually the person that you're portraying yourself to be. But to me, that is part of a learning curve. So obviously, we're all learning all the time, and if we're trying out a new skill or a new way of being, that can feel like imposter syndrome, but that it doesn't mean that we're not being ourselves. It's extremely important for me to be myself, but it's okay to go into new environments. In fact, it's very healthy to try out new things and to feel uncomfortable in that environment. But the key is to be ourselves in that situation. So a flower, as far as I know, flowers aren't self-conscious and don't worry about what they look like or if they're doing their job properly or what anybody thinks. They're just a flower. They just are what they are. So that's an example of a metaphor. I get a lot of messages in dreams, and it's something I pay a lot of attention to. So in dreams, there are symbols. Everybody has their personal symbols, which you can learn the more that you pay attention to your dreams. And it could be anything. It could be an object in the dream. It could be a person. It could be the environment. It could be a building that you're in, for example. All of these objects and things that we see in dreams are symbols which have a meaning to the dreamer. So I'm going to give an example of, and the other thing is synchronicity is a big one for me. So synchronicity is a strange coincidence. So when two seemingly unrelated events occur, which can't be explained. So two things happen maybe at exactly the same time or in quick succession, and you can't explain how those two things are linked, but it seems that they are. So I'm going to give an example. I had a dream the other night, I was in an exercise class and I'd been told to run around the room. So I was running around the room as fast as I could. I noticed that other people in the room were wearing circus outfits. And I thought, maybe I'd enjoy this more if I was wearing a colourful outfit myself. Then I got out of breath, I collapsed on the floor, and shortly after that I woke up. I wrote down my dream, as I often do, and then I went on Instagram. And the first post on Instagram had mentioned the circus. So this is an example of synchronicity. So I had symbols in my dream, which was a circus outfit, an exercise class, running around in circles, and then there was a link to one of those symbols, and I don't think I've ever had a dream before with circus outfits in it. There was a link to a post I saw on Instagram. So my attention was drawn to that post, and I thought, this is a synchronicity. I need to pay attention to this. And then at the end of that post, there was a question, which was, what pattern am I tired of performing? And again, this seems to relate back to the dream in which I was running around in circles, not really knowing why, and then I collapsed from exhaustion. So I'm not going to go into the answer to that question, But what I just wanted to do is give an example and an explanation of how the universe might be communicating in symbols, metaphor, and dreams and synchronicity, and how to pay attention. The more that you pay attention, the more you'll start to get the messages.